What is potentially the most controversial period in American history? The creation of the Federal Reserve and the federal income tax, the origins of which outline a tale of power, secrecy, and a Congress caught with its pants down, which effectively subverted the Americans' freedom and handed the reins over to the elite. Now, Trump is attempting to revoke that power from the elite and return it to the people. But first, we'll peel back the curtain. But first, we need to understand the framework and the grounds for which this entire system was created. So it all starts in 1913, a year that changed America forever, unquestionably. But to understand how we got here, we need to rewind just a little bit. By the early 20th century, the U.S. economy was a roller coaster. Booms, busts, and banking panics galore. The big players like J.P. Morgan wanted control, but they didn't trust the chaos of a free market. What they did is what they wanted was a system that they could steer. Enter the Federal Reserve. So in 1910, a secret meeting went down on Jekyll Island. As many of you have heard, which is off the coast of Georgia, as many of you have heard a group of elite bankers and politicians, names such as Rockefeller, Morgan, Senator Nelson Aldrich, who orchestrated this fantastic meeting, gathered under the guise of a duck hunting trip. No press, no public, just a cabal of power brokers sketching out a plan for a central bank. They knew the public hated the idea of bankers running the show, but they got crafty. So they called it the Federal Reserve, which sounds pretty government-y, right? But here's the kicker. It's not federal, and it's not reserves. And it's reserves, rather. Let's just say it's a private club with a government VIP pass, effectively. So fast forwarding to December of 1913, Congress is supposed to be the people's voice, correct? That's what we elect them for. It gets juicy here. The Federal Reserve Act didn't get passed in some grandiose debate with the nation watching. No, the Congress was on a recess. It was 2 days before Christmas, conveniently out on session for the holidays. Skeleton crew. Most lawmakers were home with their families, while this skeleton crew stayed behind. On December 23rd, with barely a quorum, the bill slipped through and the House and the Senate like a thief in the night, and guess what? President Woodrow Wilson signed it into law that same day. Sounds like a conspiracy to me. I don't know about you, but pretty simple to say. But the Fed was not enough because they need somewhere to get money. So to keep this machine running, they needed fuel, your dollars. That's where the federal income tax comes in. Before 1913, we've heard Trump go on about this ad nauseum. The government mostly ran on tariffs and excise taxes. A direct tax on your income was completely unheard of, but that changed with the 16th Amendment, which was ratified earlier that year, 1913. Funny thing, though, some say it wasn't even legally ratified. This is where the constitutional question comes in. States allegedly fudged the paperwork and the amendment's wording didn't match across the board, but it stuck, somehow, conveniently. Now, the government had a pipeline directly to your paycheck, and the Fed had the cash to play its games, manipulate our economy, monetary policy, interest rates, printing of money. So Wilson later himself admitted that he might have screwed up, and he reportedly said, "I have unwittingly ruined my country." Unwittingly? Maybe, but the bankers, they knew exactly what they were doing. They set this meeting up on Jekyll Island and created the creature. So it wasn't just about stabilizing the economy. It was about control. A private banking cartel, a cabal, masquerading as a public institution, now held the reins of America's money supply. And with the income tax, they ensured the average Joe would foot the bill. And they would use your money, keep your money, and control our economy with mechanisms and levers that we don't vote for. They decided unilaterally. So is this a grand conspiracy? Probably. A secret meeting on a secluded island? A bill ran through a half-empty Congress during a holiday recess? An amendment with questionable origins? The players behind it, the Morgans, Rothschild proxies, and their political puppets walked away richer and more powerful while the public got saddled with debt and taxes, footing the bill for the entire country. Some call it, well, you could say it's genius. Rather, treasonous genius. So today, the Federal Reserve prints money out of thin air, and the IRS keeps the system humming. Over a century later, we're still living in the shadow of 1913, the creature of Jekyll Island. So what do you make of this? Is it a grand conspiracy? This plan was executed in the shadows, but it's clear as day to see that this is an unconstitutional situation. So where we get to Trump's tariffs and where all of this outrage from the left, billionaires, world leaders, it's not a conspiracy against the little guy. The conspiracy against the little guy has been going on for decades, since the Bretton Woods institutions. My last video, we detailed this. The United States has been getting wrecked for a century, and this has been orchestrated. Trump has just announced that he says, and he said it on the campaign trail, he wants to completely eliminate the income tax. This would be huge. This would restore our freedom. When people say, how do you want to be free? How do you expect to be free if you don't pay your income taxes? Because you can't get loans. You can't live a normal life if you don't pay your taxes. And then you get the government, the greatest collection agency known to man, the IRS and the federal government. How do you live a normal life without giving the government money that you don't have the ability to control what it is spent on and used for? Inherently, that is unconstitutional because foreign nations dictate what our leaders do, our representatives do with the money, how it's appropriated, and we don't approve of any of it. And they slam through bills just like the Federal Reserve Act and the Federal Income Tax Act. Like a thief in the night, they slam through bills that are 1,500 pages long that nobody's going to read through, that the congressmen don't even read through, but the lobbyists and these NGOs, which are the mechanisms by which it's not a government organization, but they can dictate policy, they can send money to wherever they want, and it's not classified the same as if a foreign government or the government itself was giving money to politicians as bribes. So with Trump trying to eliminate the income tax, I'll post this here, video of Trump talking about on the campaign trail. We're at an interesting crossroads. Taxes can effectively be removed. We won't have to pay income taxes anymore, given the tariffs, given industry coming back. People freaking out about tariffs don't understand that manufacturing has fled our nation. Our great nation is now dependent on the rest of the world and is completely dependent with no independence. And our people don't even have independence from their own government. So a sovereign nation, quote unquote, which is what was created through the Revolutionary War, of these United States, not United States, with their own founding documents, we aren't sovereign citizens. We as United States citizens are subservient to our government because we give them money and they do whatever they want with it. This needs to happen as soon as possible. We've laid the framework, we've got the groundwork for what happened and how the Federal Reserve was brought about and how the federal income tax was placed or put into law. If you were listening, you understand that the federal income tax was passed illegitimately. So constitutionally, and judges won't even hear the case. That's the problem. Constitutionally, it's built on sand. Push for your senators, for your representatives, call their offices, blow them up. We need to get rid of the income tax. This is completely unconstitutional. We threw tea in the harbor for literally pennies. Let me know what you think. If you've got information to add to this video, we can do a deep dive on the income tax. We can do a deep dive on all of these topics, but having the framework and the groundwork on what actually happened and how this came to be, Trump needs to eliminate the federal income tax immediately so that we can be free people again. Thank you guys. Peace.